Mic'd up.
Well, we're back again post-game 5, and this is clearly a post-mortem, not just on the series, but on the season, where we'll do a bigger post-mortem on the season on one of our Thursday shows. Speaking for Adam, we don't plan on doing a show tomorrow. Correct, Adam?
Correct.
So after tonight's game, there's not much energy that we can give to talking about the season. We'll pick it back up a week from Thursday. But we're going to finish here today with a show about Game 5. I put out that call to get predictions. So we're going to go and play some of the predictions people had. And we're also going to talk about some of the things that I wrote to everybody before the game that I thought were going to be the keys to the game. And there were 5 of them. And the 5 keys to the game, really surprisingly, the Yankees hit on most of them. No runs in the first inning. 1, 2, 3 would be ideal. Cole somehow gets through 7 full. 8 would be amazing. 9 would be unbelievable. Get to Flaherty early, get him out of the game due to scoring runs by the 3rd inning because he's only going to go 4 innings. That keeps the Dodgers relievers away from high leverage situations because the Yankees are ahead. And it has been all series, build on several good at-bats, but where it has not gone after pitches away out of the zone lately, Judge needs to get a knock. He needs to knock in a run in the first inning. And if they lose, it's going to be because Cole stinks. Well, no runs in the first. Cole made it to 7. Flaherty got kicked out early of the game, booted out of the game early because they scored runs. The Dodgers relievers were in low leverage situations until the 5th. And Judge hit a homer in the first inning. And yet the Yankees still lost. So let's see what some of the fans of the show had to say. We'll start with Jamie von Marmelschantz.
Jamie von Mermelschwanz here. Yankees, I'll say they'll win. They'll win 4-2. Cole's going to go 6 strong, 2 runs, 2 early runs. 4-2, bring it back to LA. And, yeah.
Not a very exciting prediction of a Yankee win, considering he made it before the game. What do you think of his energy on that one? He's Ezra's son, so what do we expect?
I think Ezra needs to have a talk with his boy. No, I think that he's still very hurt by the first 3 games. So he was being very, very measured. I think that's
very measured. So, well, here's a new caller. Steve Caro chimed in with a prediction.
Cole will go 7 innings, 1 run. Yankees win 5-2.
Jeez, what's with the energy?
Very cool. I think he was doing it from under his covers.
Unbelievable. It's like he didn't want anybody to hear. Oh, my God.
I
got to thank him for calling in, but come on, man. He had as much energy as Jamie. Let's see what.
I think he must have a Dodger fan in the house, and he didn't want to say.
I have no idea. So let's go to Ezra, see if he had any energy, because I guess something happened in the highlights from lowlives.
Ezra von Mermelschwanz from Highlights from Lowlives.
Good energy.
Just kidding. Yankees are going to win tonight, 5-1, and take it back to L.A. just to annoy the Dodger faithful. I believe Cole's going to throw a strong 6 2/3, give way to Canely, and then Weaver to finish it up, maybe with Hill in there for a couple of batters. Judge and Soto will do some damage. Go Yanks.
Wow.
Well, that was
Ezra, man. Ezra is the smartest guy I know.
Ezra,
I think he was right on.
He was close.
I think he was very close. He called that he said that
6 2/3 for Cole.
Cole would pitch well, and he really did, except for that insanity.
Well, that insanity was only great. Partly him. Anyhow, so let's see. Rob Weber from Highlights from Lowlifes, the show on Mic'd Up on Wednesdays at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, or is it 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern?
I have no idea.
I was told there'd be no.
I predict the Yankees will win, becoming the first team to force a Game 6 after being down 3-0 in the series. What happens in LA will be another story. Sorry, guys.
Unbelievable. The Cubs fan, who is also a Giants fan, comes out with high energy and a Yankee prediction. Everybody's so high on the Yanks. All right, here we go. Here's my brother Toad.
I think the Yankees are going to jump out to an early 5-0 lead. They're going to get the Dodger pitcher out early. Somehow they're going to screw it up and lose 7-6.
5-1. Take it back to LA.
Is that exciting enough for you?
What's going on in the background there?
He was playing Ezra's comment while he was saying his thing. So in other words, he checked out the show. He wanted to hear what we were saying earlier, and then he gave us his prediction. That's interesting.
Oh, he didn't. He watched his prediction was post game. It's total BS.
Oh.
Total BS. So I'm glad it was played over. Todd, you slimy bastard, you. Sean Keister.
It's twice in a week I've called him a putz.
Yeah, this one he deserves, definitely. Sean Keister, another relatively new listener to the show.
All right, here's my prediction for tonight's game. I just heard the Vegas phone ring. They said that they need at least 2 more games. So the Yankees win in dramatic fashion. And we go back to LA for at least 1 more game. You heard it here first.
So Sean Keister, Yankee fan here in Fremont, California. And then last but not least, the guy who did put this in before the game, unlike my brother Todd, has a very interesting take on the game.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Ezra Von Puffin stuff. Yanks stake Cole to an early lead tonight. Close game. Holds until the 8th. Dodgers go ahead in the top of the 8th with a double steal of home. Yankees tie it up in the bottom of the 8th. And Dodgers win it in extras. Booney is given a bag of sunflower seeds and unceremoniously dumped tomorrow.
So Matt Shell.
You know what? He was right about everything. He was great. And I can only hope that Boone is gone tomorrow.
He's not. He's not getting
back next season, and everything will be the same.
He's so not getting fired. So
of course not.
He's not getting fired. We'll talk about that next Thursday. We're not going to talk about that now. There's no way. So really, there's only a couple of things to talk about in this game. We had one prediction that was actually pretty good in Matt Shell. By the way, he's a Met fan down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, calling in. So we have a bi-coastal North and South audience, which is kind of nice. It's growing.
It's become a national phenomenon.
A national phenomenon. That's us. Anyhow, so let's talk about Cole. The man had some brass cojones until he forgot to cover first base.
I don't understand that play. I don't understand. It looked like he never even thought about
going. Not even 1 second.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding. Everybody learns all the way back to banana drills in spring training. They always know that they've got to get to first base. They fall over that way when the ball goes to the right side. I don't know what, and I want to hear it. Was it a brain fart?
Oh, it was absolutely. Absolutely.
Is he going to admit? Is he going to say it was a brain fart, or is he going to make an excuse?
No, he's going to
play.
He's going to say it's a brain. He's going to say he lost focus, and it was a brain fart. I mean, think about it. The man. So I think Smoltz might have hit the nail on the head. And while I don't like how much he talks, I think he does make some really good points. He said that Cole got the ground ball to first base and just took a sigh of relief and said inning over and didn't cover. And I think that was his bottom line. Unless he's going to come out and say, oh, I thought the ball was to Glaber. But even still, he's supposed to be moving towards first base. And let's talk about that inning. 3 guys who you do not expect to lose focus. If you would have told me that this was Glaber Torres, Jazz Chisholm, Alex Verdugo, I would have said to you, well, yeah, what can you expect? But, I mean, literally, that couldn't have been an easier looping liner fly ball to judge that he missed.
I couldn't believe it, and I said, this is going to kill them. I didn't say they were going to give up 5 right there, but I knew for certain that they were going to score at that point, because I know that the thing about the Dodgers, and we'll talk about this maybe another time, I don't know, but they took advantage of every possible problem. They were great at getting the guys over. You know, again tonight, another on the fly ball, the sacrifice fly.
2 of them did not in the 6th run and the 5th run.
Exactly. But then the first one, I couldn't believe it. how well they got deep center field. Judge has a good arm. Still made certain he got the third base.
And they got the guy, and it was a
third.
deep enough fly ball to get the guy from second to third to get the next sacrifice fly to get the seventh run in.
But that's what I meant. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, that to me is what the Yankees would not have done. Yankees would have held up at second, would have been uncomfortable taking that extra base. You know, a couple times I thought it was amazing what the play at second base.
The Jazz.
I was like, God, Jazz, that was so close. If he was out there, he would have been out. The run.
Well, that would have been Soto's fault for not running hard the whole way from third to home.
And that's another thing that I noticed a lot. You know, not giving 100% on those types of plays.
You can't. You got to do, especially in a circumstance where if Jazz is tagging up, or it could possibly be tagging up. He shouldn't even been thinking. It's like when Volpe stole a base yesterday, or was going to, and it was a foul ball. Why was he looking back at home plate? I don't understand it. And then Volpe makes the smart play, a ball in the hole at short, and then just spikes the throw.
Really, just spiked it. Absolutely, right down. And I do think also, a little surprised, I think Jazz should have made the play. It was a short hop, but he could have made the play.
It was a little bit, it was an in-between hop. It wasn't exactly an easy short hop.
Professional makes it.
It was a tough play. It's Volpe's. Volpe shouldn't be putting him in that position.
Bad throw. So Volpe made a bad throw. He didn't really give it a good. He didn't give it a good try at third, and that bothered me too. So
I thought he did. I thought Jazz gave it a decent chance. I thought he tried to do one of those scoops that you do as a first baseman. I thought he played it like a first baseman would. And then Cole strikes out those two guys, and I went just like you did. When Judge missed the ball, I was like, oh. And when Volpe made the bad throw, I was like, oh. And I was like, this is it. They're going to score at least 4. And then Cole strikes out those two guys, and you're thinking, oh my God, they're going to get out of this. And next thing you know, they're out of it, and Cole doesn't cover first base. Unbelievable. I mean, I went back and forth with a couple of other people that aren't on our normal group chats. And, one of them even said back to me, you and Adam on your show have been harping on the Yankees' lack of fundamentals since your show started, before the season. Over a year, you guys have been saying the Yankees don't have the fundamentals that they need to have. And as I've gotten more specific, and you've agreed with me, they had the fundamentals when Buck Showalter was the manager. Torrey took over. He took over a talented team, good in the fundamentals. They won a lot of World Series, and they had the best talent. Girardi came in. The fundamentals were already downgraded because Torrey was such a player's manager. Fundamentals were downgraded. They won a World Series in 2009, but Girardi got fired because he was too tough on the players. Well, he should have gotten fired for other reasons. And Boone comes in, and he's soft on them. Took 3 times for Torres to make egghead plays, or eggplant plays, as I like to call them, before he actually said, you got to sit down. The lack of fundamentals. I was listening to, I want to say it was FAN, but it might have been ESPN Radio in New York. And they were talking about the Mets and their fundamentals. And they said the first year that Showalter was their manager, there was a play very early in the season and again later in the season where there was a throw from third base to second base, and Marte both times was there to back up the throw as the right fielder. He said this season, the Mets didn't do that. And he said it didn't really cost them. He said, and the Yankees throughout this series have been fundamentally inept. And you can't do that, especially against a team like the Dodgers, who does exactly what you said, which is every single mistake you make, they take advantage. I watched briefly the postgame show, and they interviewed Teoscar Hernandez. And he said, what were you thinking at 5-0? And he said, well, once they made those the first 2 mistakes of the inning, we were like, we're going to take advantage of these mistakes and score some runs. He said, not that we thought we were going to score 5. He said, but we know teams make mistakes. We score runs because we don't make the mistakes. And that's the bottom line. And then later in the game, you have something to say about the catcher's interference, which I don't agree with, but I'll let you say it in a second. But we both can't believe Weaver threw over 3 times. And the third move wasn't even like a chance to pick off a guy.
No. Well, he knew, I think the minute he did it, maybe Wells yelled at him.
Or Rizzo
on that headset. Rizzo, but I bet Wells yelled.
They can't yell at him on the headset. They can only poke in the stuff.
Yeah, but somebody heard something. I'm sure someone was yelling. Maybe.
I'm sure they all yelled when he started to do it. But once you start,
he balked. Like he clearly did a stutter step. So he knew he made a mistake.
But it wasn't a balk because of the stutter step. It was a balk because it was 3 throws over.
I know, because he knew he shouldn't have done the 3 throws, and then he did what human beings do. They sort of stop, or they don't complete like his brain stopped it for a second, and
Again,
that
brain fart,
brain
lack of
farts,
focus.
brain stuff. Oh, it's the same thing.
And you have a problem. I'm going to let you say it. You have a problem with the catcher's interference, and I'll defend
I
that.
don't like that play getting called so much. I can't believe that play um, is really that problem is greater now than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20
2
years ago.
years ago.
What is it? Are catchers playing closer
Yes,
to
it's
get
all
an
about the
advantage?
frame. It's all about the frame.
So, but they can't frame from the back a little
No,
bit?
because then the umpire sees it for longer, and it's all about the frame. And because they're in there tighter, the tougher part about it is Otani had no chance to hit that pitch, none whatsoever. It was a great pitch, and he had no chance to hit that pitch. So Otani was way late, reaching out and swinging and reaching, and Wells is reaching forward, and worlds collided, as Costanza would say, and it happens. I mean that
So
it's
that
not a
was
good
the
thing. I don't
basis,
agree.
right?
I don't. I wish that they used to catch like this when I was growing up, because I would have loved it, because I was good at blocking the ball the way that they block now, like infielders and goalies. I was terrible at moving my body to block the ball. I just wasn't good at it. But if you told me that I can get on one knee and scoop it and block it like that, and then, when I was younger and I had a good arm, I would have loved it because I could throw from my knees. Oh, it was great. Now obviously I can't throw from my knees. I could barely get up what in the morning, much less throw from my knees. But if they would have let me catch
I
like
know. I've seen you in the morning at a baseball field early. So let
yes,
me
it's
ask you a
ugly.
question.
So yeah, so I mean it's just horrible that
So,
fundamentally the team is bad.
yeah,
We could talk about how they can fix it, but obviously this isn't just a Boone issue. This is an organizational issue.
yeah,
I don't care
and
if you're coming
they
up at
don't fix
22
that.
years old like Dominguez, or 21 years old like Dominguez is. If you play 2 or 3 years in the minor leagues in an organization, any organization, you should know how to run the bases. You should understand situational baseball. The exception would be even Soto. He has to know situational baseball, but you're never going to have him bunt. I mean, but he should know how to bunt, but he's never going to bunt. So my brother wants to chime in on the catcher's interference.
Catcher's interference is also called a lot more often because half the batters are standing outside the batter's box, because after the first inning, the back line of the batter's box is gone, so half of them move back even further just to get that extra split second just to see a pitch a little bit more.
I don't disagree with that, but that's been the case forever. I mean, you remember guys from Kansas City used to get up. George Brett, being the first left-handed hitter in the Royals lineup, he used to just knock that whole line out.
Yeah,
He would just knock the whole line out. I mean,
yeah. I think
that's
he
been the
makes a good
case
point.
since as long as I've been watching baseball. The guys have been knocking that line out.
Mm,
So
yeah.
I did also like the fact that Jazz, in his last at bat, when it was 0-1 count, he tried to bunt. The problem was he had the bunt easy because the third baseman was way off the line. Why is he running and bunting? All he's got to do is almost sacrifice push bunt it, and with his speed, he's going to beat it out. But I like the idea that he was going to bunt with first and second like that.
And again, that run, they didn't get that run.
No, they didn't get the run across a couple of times. I mean, they didn't get the run across
Well,
in a
I
few.
think we've talked about fundamentals, but there were a lot of things in this game. I was saying all along, gotta put the pressure, need the intensity, keep going, keep going. They just didn't. They stopped again. They stopped.
Yep.
You know, they had most of they got through the entire bullpen by the fifth inning,
Yep.
and you know they had an opportunity right there. Um, Agador Spartacus was up there. He was whatever his name was. He was out. He was completely gone. So they got lucky with that. And I'm telling you, they just couldn't get the run over. And I haven't been able to find the exact stat, but I'd like to know what the Yankees hit with runners in scoring position throughout the playoffs. But I'd also like to know how many times they got 2-out hits with a man in scoring and that scored the run. Not
Well, we
the
can talk
not
about that in a week when we get a
We
chance to
will.
dig into the
We
stat.
will. I'll get a chance to look at the stats, but those are the things that are going to stand out. The lack the lack of ability to get the runs in. They seem to get runs in from third base with less than 1 out. That's real nice. I'm glad they did that a few times in this series. But if there's a man on second with two, They never scored that run.
Well, they also
They-
think about it in the bottom of the second inning, right? Volpe hit the double to left field. Wells moved him over on a grounder, a good out. Verdugo ended up getting a base hit, which wouldn't have been a base hit, but for the fact that
Yep.
Wells moved him over. So moving the infield in helped the Yankees. A productive out, which we always talk about, no strikeout. Then Torres had one of the worst at bats I've ever seen in my life, where he swung at a first pitch that was bad, took a curve that was a strike, and then took another curve right down. It was a hanger.
What did I say? What was he looking at?
I know. What was he looking at?
It was terrible. But, and I thought that, it was, as always.
And it was a
Torres
left, and they brought in a lefty to face him. That's what was amazing.
I saw that too, and I was amazed. And I just said, amazing. They don't even care about the matchups anymore. They're just doing everything by they bring in the pitcher, and they wanted that moment to get the guys out.
Yep.
They're not thinking about,
absolutely,
turn them around, bat them left, bat them right. It doesn't matter. And the Yankees weren't bringing anybody in to pinch hit for anybody, so it didn't matter anyway. So it was just one of those. It was good old-fashioned baseball.
And then Torres also got up with the bases loaded in the bottom of the fifth after the big inning with 2 out, right? The first 2 guys got out. Volpe singled. Wells got hit. Verdugo walked. Torres got up and hit a lazy fly ball to right field.
Yeah, and I kept saying, just go right field approach. This is what he stopped doing after the playoffs, the second round.
Well, he hit the home run yesterday to right field, but the game was out of reach by the time he hit it.
But what I thought was amazing was how the beginning of those series, how he was getting on base with the same approach. Everything was a line drive over second base.
So the other thing that I noticed, and I forgot to bring this up when we talked about the fifth inning, how did they not have a mound visit to help Cole just?
Yeah, they're complaining now, and I know what they're going to say. They're going to ask that question, and they're going to say that Garrett doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like to be bothered.
That's throwing him under the bus. He needed a break just to take a breather. Even Rizzo didn't go over and talk to him. I mean, that's what's crazy. It was just crazy, that fifth inning. I mean, it was an extra 30 pitches. I mean, if you think about the extra 30 pitches he threw in that inning after he, between the judge, the 2 outs that should have been, and then his mistake not covering first, he threw 30 extra pitches. He threw 103 pitches and came out in the 7th inning. He would have been like at 75 pitches in the 7th inning. How much better could he have been? Right? How much better could he have been?
I don't think he could have been. It was amazing. It was a great outing with that 1 inning of stupidity, and then followed by Kahnle not being able to get anybody out. And
the glass slipper. At midnight, stroke of midnight.
It was going to happen. It was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, so let's listen to a message that I know we both don't want to hear, and we both will flip off Webby as soon as we hear it, because I don't give a crap about this right now.
Guys, I know the night was disappointing, but the Yankees had a really good season and got all the way to the World Series. That was a lot of fun to watch, and you've got to be really excited about next year. Celebrate what they did and have fun with it.
All right, so bottom line is, why should we be excited about next year when you got no idea if Soto's going to be back? They do have to make a decision on Cole, which I think that's an easy one. Rizzo's a free agent. They stuck with LeMahieu's contract. They're stuck with, Stanton's they're no longer stuck with, right? Verdugo, please don't bring him back. They've got very little coming in the way of pitching. Kahnle is a free agent. Holmes is a free agent. There's a couple other guys. Loizaga's a free agent, but that doesn't matter. They've got Cortez with an elbow issue.
They've got a $2 million option on Weaver, so I think they're probably going to.
They'll exercise that one. That won't be an issue.
Like in an hour.
Right, but I mean, they got to rebuild a lot of pieces, and they've got to decide what's going to happen with Soto, and they can't wait. But we'll talk about that later. And as far as celebrating, it would be a lot easier to celebrate if they didn't lose games because their manager was bungling decisions on the mound in Game 1 of the World Series, and the 3 guys who we least expect to have brain farts had massive brain farts and losses of focus in a game that they should have easily won. So my brother Todd has another comment about this series. But Weber, we don't want to hear that crap. And I'm sorry if your Cubbies lost the game because your stud outfielder dropped a routine fly ball that even you would catch. or other outfielders would catch it without falling down. And your shortstop, who's the smart baseball player, spiked to throw to third base on an easy play there. And then your pitcher forgets to cover first base.
Yeah, we're talking about that.
It's unbelievable.
All right, move on.
We'll go to Todd.
This series shows you how much more of a complete team the Dodgers are compared to the Yankees. The two players everybody worried about most, Ohtani and Betts, did almost nothing at the plate the whole series. Betts was great in the field. Ohtani had one hit.
Yep.
Betts, I think, had 4. But the rest of the team killed him. The Yankees' pitching was great.
Yeah.
Everything, that's absolutely right. I couldn't believe the bottom of their order. This seemed like Edmund. It seemed like Kiki a little bit further up. Every one of them.
Well, Kiki was great every
single at bat. Everything was tough. They just never made it easy. It seemed that it was constantly bringing top of the lineup on with guys on base every time, and they'd score.
They'd get Ohtani and Betts. They didn't have, like Todd said, they didn't have big series.
No, but it didn't matter because what they would do is they get on base. The two of them would either strike out or move some over. Betts had a couple big hits, though he didn't have many. But then what would happen was Freddie would do something amazing. And how many RBIs did he have in the series? About 12.
Who, Freeman?
Freeman.
I think after today he had. I think it's 2 today, so I think he had 11.
So he had two two-run home runs. So he had 4. He had 2 to an 8-6. He had the grand slam.
Right.
So
that's 10.
And
I think he had 1 other.
I think he had another one in that game as well.
Yeah.
So
I think he had one earlier in the grand slam game. So I think he had 11. I mean, Betts, and they said, I didn't keep track of it, but they said Betts had 10 bases saved by his outfield play in this series.
Amazing.
So I
think
just,
the Yankees had a lot of.
And Kiki was good. I mean, Edmund only went 1 for 5, and his hit was a broken bat single.
But it was a big one, wasn't it? It was that.
Oh yeah, but that's a killer. That was against Canley. So yeah, I mean, we'll take tomorrow off. We'll put this one up on YouTube.
All right. But I do want to bring up one thing, and I think that sometimes our many fans are going to want this a little bit, so we have to give a little love to this. Because when it's painful, it actually is soothing to know that things are going to change. There's going to be something good's gonna come from this. Now, do I think it's gonna be Boone? No, I don't. Boone's staying, Cashman's staying, of course. It's gonna be the same stuff. The question I have, and this is what I think we want to walk away with on this one, and then we can talk about it heavily next week. Is it sound at this point, considering this team, to spend $70 million a year on or $700 million on Soto? Does the team have the resources? They do, but will they use them to build the team that they need to around him? Or are we going to have a lot of cost cutting if we do that? Even if they can get him, do they really want him? And I'm wondering if they're going to start thinking about that question very seriously.
It all depends on what they think about Jones, Peraza, Dominguez, Rice, whether or not Rice and DJ can handle first base. It depends if they truly want to bring back Glaber, which I don't think they should do under any circumstances.
No.
And it also depends on what they think they want to do with Jazz. I don't mean trade Jazz, but what position is he going to play? I don't think he's a third baseman. I don't think he's an awful third baseman. He's better than what they've had over the years. But is that where they want him to play? If they decide Jazz is an outfielder, then they've got to figure out something.
No,
I mean, they don't sign Soto. Does Jazz go back to the outfield? And does Judge go to right field? Does he go to left field? Does he stay in center field? That catch he made today was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
The one he dropped.
Anyway, I think that there's some really good things that are not good things, but some very important things we're going to discuss in the next one, and that's going to.
I think I'd love them to say. I'd love for the Yankees to come out and say this. We're hiring a new director of organizational teaching, and his name is Buck Showalter. Put him in charge of minor league development, minor league planning, and player education.
Yeah.
He'll never do it because there's no money in it for him, and I think he likes what he's doing now, and he probably wants to manage again. And Rojas can't come back as the third base coach. And if you could explain, Boone has had the 3 worst third base coaches in history that I could remember.
Nevin.
How does that happen?
Nevin.
Nevin Rojas was slightly better than Nevin, but Nevin was awful. And I don't even remember who was the coach there last year. It wasn't Mendoza was the bench coach. Oh, it was horrible. I don't understand. I mean, it was bad enough when Billy Martin used to hire his drinking buddies to be his coaching staff because he didn't need anybody because he could do it all himself. But Boone, they've got to get a fundamentals guy in there.
How about a fundamental guy? And how about wouldn't this be great? And it'll never happen. But Don Mattingly comes. Manage the Yankees for 5 more years. That to me would be beautiful.
The other guy that would work,
do it.
He's managing now, I think. Isn't he still managing? Ron Washington is a really good fundamental guy when he's not doing cocaine off of the trainer's table.
That's right. And spitting out sunflower seeds at 1,000 miles an hour. I saw him put like a kid's eye out.
He's actually so I met him through a mistake. Something happened at the A's and I met him. He was a very nice guy. And I think he's been to A's fantasy camp and the guys say nice things about him. But, he's a great infield coach and he's
one of my favorite lines in the movie Moneyball.
Yeah.
His character, the actor who played him said, goes, tell him why first base is very easy because first base is incredibly
hard. Yes.
Incredibly hard.
Exactly.
Come on, tell him, Ron. It's no big deal, right? It's an incredible.
All right. So that's it for tonight's show, I think. We'll see you a week from tomorrow, which would be November 7th, I believe. And we'll get that on board. We'll see this out at YouTube. Don't forget to go to our YouTube channel and make comments and spread the word with our YouTube stuff. Send it to your friends. Put it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and any other social.
All 7 of you who have been listening loyally for the last year. We're going on a year now, buddy, right? Didn't we start
I think we're just over a year. I think we started right before the playoffs, didn't we?
I want to thank all of our amazing fans and all of our guests who've come on over the last year every week. It's been a long season. You want to go back and listen. I want to go back and listen to the game where we made our predictions for this
Actually,
season.
we should do that a week from Thursday. We'll say this is what our predictions were at the beginning of the season. The show's on YouTube, so it'll be easy to pull.
And that'll be fun. Anyway, It's been a pleasure working with you, sir. And
hopefully we'll be able to put some stuff together. Thanks to all of our guests during the year: Kramer, Frankie, Phil Selly, Joe Osti.
Joe Osti, the doctor. That was a great show.
Who else? We had a couple other.
We had Steve Caro once. We had who else did we have?
My brothers, your brother, your son,
my brother, Steve, my son. We had a good group.
We had a decent group. We'll get some more guys.
Of course, the great Dan Kramer.
Kramer was our listen, the comments he's getting on Facebook, he's quite popular. He is a world-renowned phenomenon at this point.
We'll bring him back for sure.
Well, absolutely, because I think when you start talking about building a team, Kramer has some really good ideas.
He did ask me about that. He said he wants to be on the How Do We Fix This call.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt, Kramer. We're going to have so many of these how do you fix this things over the course of the thing because you got GM meetings coming up in about 3 weeks. And
hey, the best part of all this to my Yankee fan friends out there, it's over. There's no more ahead. So the good news is we don't have to see another team. We don't have to see another series. And they go right into business mode. I like business mode.
I like the idea that we don't have to worry about watching a World Series where the Yankees aren't playing. We didn't have to watch any baseball series at any point where the Yankees weren't playing. Yeah. There you go, Weber. That's the positive.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Have a good night.
All right. I'll speak to you in the next couple of days. We'll figure out life and liberty and justice for all.
Have fun in prison.
And good luck in prison.